morning again. For some of you, I think there may be one or two who might be new on Zoom, and there are some people who are here for the first time in our sanctuary. My name is Reverend Angela Denton, and I welcome you to Unity by the Shore. I welcome you to our service. And this morning, we are going to resume our series based on the book, The Universe Always Has a Plan, The 10 Golden Rules of Letting Go, written by Matt Kahn. And this morning, we are going to explore Golden Rule number 8. But I'd like to start us off with a video, which is entitled, Not I Am So Blessed, but, but I am, How to Be Ultra Spiritual.
You recording?
Yes.
I'm JP Sears. I'm ultra spiritual, and I'm going to teach you how to be ultra spiritual today. First, what you need to understand is being ultra spiritual has nothing to do with actually being spiritual, because no one even knows what that actually is. Being ultra spiritual means you look spiritual. So let's get started. Practice competitive spirituality. Silently / passive aggressively, you're going to want to compare how spiritual other people are to yourself. Judging other people to be less spiritual than you makes you a better person than them. And that's exactly what makes you more spiritual than them. Hey, Kevin. Did you see how unconscious that guy is? Jerk. Claim to be using your intuition when you're actually thinking about things. In fact, you're going to want to announce this to people every chance you get, because false intuition isn't true intuition till you get other people to believe that your false claims are actually true. Hey, Deanna, my intuition just told me to give you a call. No, I didn't see that you had called me. Rebel against dogmatic religious terminology by dogmatically using spiritual terminology. You'll want to keep your eyes closed extra tight on this one, so that you don't see that you're actually still subscribed to the exact same belief system that you're rebelling against, because now you're expressing the same concepts just with new words. Jesus loves you. The universe supports you. I'll pray for you. I'll send you white light. God will provide for you. The universe is abundant. It's all about getting into heaven. It's all about getting back to oneness. Hallelujah. Om. Say the word namaste any chance you get. You need to stumble your way through mispronunciations of it and awkwardly using it in social situations where it doesn't actually fit. Namaste, 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 nasta, namasta, namaste. Hold eye contact for awkward lengths of time. You'll call it intimate. Everyone else will call it intimidating. Deny your pain. If you're going to be ultra spiritual, then you need to believe that being a human being and having these things called human feelings has nothing to do with a spiritual experience. You're breaking up with me? You've been sleeping with my best friend. No, I'm not hurt. It's all part of the perfection. It's all love. It is what it is. Use an exaggeratedly light tone of voice when you are talking to other ultra spiritual people. This is kind of like showing your ID to get into a bar. It proves that you belong. It's all love. You just gotta follow your bliss. Do copious amounts of yoga, even though you have no idea why aggressively stretching your body and wearing $100 Lululemon pants relates to your spirituality. This one's good. I feel this one in my spirit. That's effective. It makes my hamstrings feel like they're tearing, which is helpful because I think hamstring is the French word for kundalini, which means this is making my kundalini more muscular. Reclassify all the ways you're irresponsible under the new heading, I'm a free spirit. Aggressively defend your position statement like you're an angel defending getting its wings cut off.
Yeah, we can leave this as the backdrop. So, did you know that a torn hamstring means that it was your kundalini rising? Did you know that? And I never even heard of Lululemon pants. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them, right? They're pricey. Okay, bougie. So I've heard some chuckles here, and maybe there were some chuckles via on Zoom. So either in the chat box or here, what was humorous about this? Anybody? Yeah. Okay, so the satire in it, the exaggeration of it, the parody of it. And has anybody ever heard that if it wasn't so true, it wouldn't be funny? Now, I'm not saying all of it, but where I want to focus in is the part where J.P. Sears says, deny your pain. Meaning, just 1 minute, yeah. Meaning, we must deny our human experience. Only fill your mind with positive thoughts. Now, it's important to remember, our mantras, our affirmations, our spiritual truth, right? Denial and affirmation, right? But in order to have the denial, meaning I don't deny or put my head in the sand that something is occurring, but I deny the fact that this has power over me and can destroy me, or can, if I choose, ruin my life, right? Many of us have had heartache. So I want to focus in exactly on what J.P. Morgan said in the video, deny your pain. If you are going to be ultra spiritual, then you need to believe that being a human being and having these things called human feelings has nothing to do with the spiritual experience. And then he does the role play. What? You're breaking up with me? Oh, you've been sleeping with my best friend? Oh, nah, I'm not hurt. It's all part of the perfection. It's all love. It is what it is. It is what it is. We had a lesson about that in the winter. Name it. What is it? What is it that you're feeling? And we can go on with more spiritual sayings or cliches, right? It's all good. Everything happens for a reason. And every challenge, every loss, every inconvenience is ripe with opportunity, which was what the focus of Golden Rule number 7 was that we explored a few weeks ago. Now, there is spiritual truth in this. Absolutely. And those sayings and spiritual mantras we say, we have to understand what is the truth that we are saying and not just make them something we reach to without going within and having that human experience. Having the human experience of the fear when you thought there wasn't enough money, but then experiencing that and choosing and realigning yourself. Having the experience of knowing that it is sad to say goodbye to your mother, not to avoid it, not to see what is the opportunity in it, but we cannot go there with just ignoring it for ourselves without the spiritual bypass. The human bypass is really what it is, where we deny our feelings at all cost, right? We cannot admit to it. I have seen this in operation where a homeopathic doctor who comes down with an illness is filled with shame but cannot share about their illness because what would other people think? Or I've been in the presence of peers, another minister, where there was a conflict, a workshop on conflict resolution. And I've heard the individual say, well, I can't share these conflicts with my peeps because I'm the minister. What would they think? Right? And maybe I'm a Weight Watchers instructor, and maybe I can't be in the supermarket with brownies in my cart. Right? We laugh. Do we not do those kinds of things at times? So, according to Matt Kahn, he says very clearly, I am able to see the wisdom in such difficult experiences and view from an expanded spiritual perspective simply because my human experience has never been diminished or discounted by the clarity in view. The essence of being spiritual is learning how to be consciously human. While my spiritual growth has been birthed out of the difficulties, it doesn't take away from the equally valid human experience woven throughout every trial, tribulation, breakdown, breakthrough, failure, and success. In the book, Matt tells many stories about his life. He shares that he had a very painful and dysfunctional childhood. And although that was the birthing ground of his spiritual journey and led him to eventually do not only his own healing, but to be the presence of empowerment and healing to others in this world. But it doesn't mean that his childhood, as a child, that he did not experience suffering, betrayal, confusion. He also shares the story of being bullied relentlessly as a child, and even by family members all the way up into adulthood. I shared one of those stories several weeks ago. But even though that was, again, the rich opportunity that called him to be self-compassionate to himself, to learn that in a way that he never learned before, and in doing so, being able to be present as self-compassion, being present to what he was feeling, to being mindful, to know that he can choose in that moment, will he react or will he respond? Will he remain connected to his divinity, or will he be a mirror of what was given to him? And it didn't mean that throughout his experience of being bullied, he says that he cried himself to sleep countless nights. And then he shares about getting married to what he thought was the love of his life and continues to believe that. And then he went through the separation, and then they got back together, and then eventually a very painful divorce. And although that led to another spiritual transformation and awakening, it doesn't mean that his heart wasn't broken wide open and that it wasn't painful. And now on a personal note, you know I share about my life because I value authenticity. So even though I felt the soul calling to have my mom move in with our family, and I meant that from the sincerity, it wasn't out of obligation, and I heard very deeply that this was going to be a soul transforming experience for us. So even though I knew all that, it doesn't mean that I have liked every moment of cohabitation. And news alert, I am sure she doesn't love every moment of it either. And I'm sure when I moved in with them, with my 2 little kids, she could say the same, right? And I remember one morning, I was feeling such disdain for my mom. And it just so happened, it was for a couple days I was feeling it. And I had the blessing of having an appointment with my spiritual mentor for some spiritual counseling that I do on a regular basis. And so I begin, he takes me into prayer, and then he says, what's your soul, what is the wisdom within you want to speak into today? And I said to him, I'm really feeling a lot of disdain and even disgust for my mother, and I'm embarrassed to say, I don't think I like her. I think I dislike her. And I can't touch I can't call up compassion. So with that, he says, okay, take a deep breath. He says, it's okay to have feelings of disdain and disgust toward your mom. It's okay to feel embarrassment and have the belief that you dislike her and that you can't call up compassion. Those words spoken to me were words similarly I speak to others in a spiritual counseling session. Words of compassion and acceptance and love were being offered to me. And took a deep breath and he said, Angela, he says, if you don't delve and feel fully this disgust, this dislike, this embarrassment, you will not touch the compassion. So I said it, there was no running away. He's like, okay, where do you feel it in your body? What does it look like? And with that, the tears start to fall. And he says, okay, take some time. And he's like, if it had a voice, what would it want to tell you? And I won't go into every detail of him having me being present to it, but there was wisdom there. Old beliefs, old stories, and real, valid hurts that he was able to acknowledge. And it was through that, when my mother was knocking on the door while I was working the other day and I opened it, I was excited. And I felt deep love and compassion and I embraced her. And I was like, oh my gosh, I felt the love so sincerely. And I'm not saying it was just that one session. I do my own spiritual routine. But if I had not given myself that permission, would I have had, right? Every difficulty and challenges is ripe with opportunity, but not just because I say so, because I embrace it to its fullness, to its humanity, and I breathe into it and I don't deny it. And then I get to choose. I don't go around the house cursing at her, throwing things at her. No, I act in my divinity, right? Not like pretending I'm being fake. So when he spoke those words, it's okay 2 words. It's okay. That is, guess what? Golden rule number 8. It's okay to dislike. That's exactly the words. It's okay to dislike. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to feel frustration, to be embarrassed. All of it. And he shares, I think that there's a very common misunderstanding that in order to embody love, you have to like everything and everyone. All too often, the ego believes if you could learn to like your experiences, well, it will be less painful. Therein lies the bypass. Dislike, listen to his definition of dislike. Dislike is the recognition that you are acknowledging something that seems foreign to your core values. It's the recognition. Something here is not in alignment with something I believe, I profess, or there is something here, dislike is informing me that there is a calling for a deeper healing, that a belief I am holding about myself or someone is seeking to be coughed up and to be transformed. If I possess or you possess the core value of honesty and you know really clearly that someone is lying to you, the natural response you would have dislike, maybe distrust, maybe frustration, maybe anger, right? If you value kindness and respect and you are in the middle of people who are gossiping, you will feel maybe dislike, frustration, some anger. The question becomes, what do you do with it? Do I resist it? Pretend it doesn't exist? Go put on my Lululemon pants and Now, yoga is healthy to do and it helps you heal, so I'm not mocking that. I'm just talking about not being in the full, awareness, being present to it. Or do you say, okay, I want real healing, and I am going to allow myself, instead of stuffing it down, having it come out sideways, or spewing, projecting disdain, and make myself righteous to do so, I will go in and do what is mine to do. And so, what do we do that will help us process the dislike, the frustration? We've explored many different ways, and I'm just going to share 4 of them with you. Of course, always prayer, meditation. So the 4 things here are to acknowledge and accept, to feel and experience, to reflect and understand, to discern and to choose. So here we go. Acknowledge and accept. What is it? Right? Name the feeling. Is it dislike? Is it disgust? Is it frustration? Is it joy? Whatever it may be. I, Angela Denton, felt disgust when I heard the news about the migrant people being bused as a political stunt across the country. See, I want to avoid, you're a minister, don't get political. This is not about politics for me. It's not about an R or a D or the name DeSantis or Fred or Sarah. Treating people with dignity and respect is a core value. It is a spiritual principle of the foundation principles in unity, that everyone and everything has sacred worth. And that includes the governor who did it, right? Because that is my job to see as well. Right? So if I wanted to do a bypass on that, I would maybe not mention it because ministers don't do that. What other avoidance patterns might you have? Do you get really busy? Pretend it doesn't exist? Or do you take it out on other people? Come home in a bad mood, nasty to the person, gossip. And he says, Matt Kahn says, true acceptance doesn't require effort. It's just confessing the gravity of your most honest experience. So what will I do with that dislike? Sometimes it might be nothing. Maybe powerful, be in prayer. I got to get myself straight, right? You have to see it right before you could, you have to be in alignment. That's what our 5 principles are. God is, I am, I create through my words, my actions, through my consciousness, I pray and meditate. All of those are set up to get me in alignment before I can even possibly live the truth. Right? So we must call ourselves to do that. So then we move into the second step, to feel and experience it. Name it. Sometimes people have difficulty with this. They'll name a thought. I feel that you. I feel that I. Those are beliefs. A feeling is one word. You can find them under nonviolent communication. Just Google feelings, NVC. Right? We've spoken about this. I feel angry. I feel frustrated. I feel disdain. I dislike this. I feel embarrassment. I feel shame. I feel joy. I feel love. I feel enthusiasm. And then again, what was asked of me, where do you feel it in your body? What do you notice about it? What sensation? Give it a color. And then we move. Before I move, I just want to say, if you want, lots of times people look to heart health through exercise and their diet. Profoundly powerful. But what a lot of people don't miss that adds to your heart health is allowing yourself to feel. Some people who rather stay in the intellect and not go there, don't ask me to feel that. I just want to tell you what I think. Telling you energetically that is contributing to the health or the unhealthiness of your heart. And then number 3, reflect and understand. Questions. What does this dislike and disdain in my body want to say to me? What does the tightness in my chest want to tell me? And what need is there for me in this moment, and how may I fill it so that I don't mirror back the same thing that I am finding disdain for? Which leads to this quote from Matt. Dislike doesn't have to lead to violence, gossip, condemnation, ridicule, resentment, or cruelty. You can actually inspire a greater response of noble behavior if you give yourself the right to just feel how you feel. So, my friends, let us just take a deep breath. I want you to just take a moment. What is something that you are feeling dislike about, disgust about, frustration and anger about? Next week, we're going to talk about anger. Just notice it. Where do you notice it in your body? If it could have a color or form, what do you notice? And if it could have a voice, what would it say to you? What healing does it offer you? And what need is alive within you? To love, to be loved, to be safe, to feel secure, to have connection, communion. And what is one thing I can do to meet that need today? Taking a deep breath. I know we did this quick. You have the opportunity to take some time with this on your own. And so in closing, I share these final words. The essence of being spiritual is learning how to be consciously human. A soul cannot evolve without the human vessel to grow within. And the human vessel cannot function without the fuel of your soul's essence. It is a marriage of the two seemingly opposite aspects merging together as one. The more often you show both sides equal respect and importance. A true heart-centered spiritual journey is about being an individuated expression of your divine consciousness. It is where you are one with all that is, while also standing for everything that you hold near and dear to your heart. Just because you like something and dislike something else doesn't mean that anything is being judged as less than, unless you take action that is aligned with gossip, criticism, so on and so on. It's just you appreciating the fact that life is giving you a negative experience, a person. Quite the opposite. The more you dislike, the more it evaporates out of the field. If you have the right to dislike it, it will rarely show up. It will lose its power over you. The gift of dislike is you are only disliking what is helping you draw your attention towards the things that are really resonant with you. It's calling you to be resonant with your divine nature. And so, my friends, I invite you to embrace the fullness of your humanity and the fullness of your divinity, and have a blessed week, and may your kundalini rise.